There comes a moment in every person's life when comfort no longer serves them, when playing it safe starts to feel like a prison. That's when the fire begins to burn. That's when the decision is made, not to be average, not to settle, not to bow down to pain or excuses. That is when someone chooses to be unstoppable. Being unstoppable isn't about strength. It's not about talent or luck. It's about mindset. It's about waking up every single day with a mission, even when the bed feels warm and the world feels cold. It's about doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. Discipline isn't a feeling. It's a choice made over and over again, until it becomes who you are. Pain is part of the journey. It's not a barrier, it's a teacher. The mind will scream for you to stop, to retreat, to find a way out. But the one who is unstoppable doesn't listen to that voice. Instead, they lean in. They use pain as fuel. They know that greatness is forged in suffering, that diamonds are formed under pressure, and that every scar tells a story of survival, resilience, and growth. There will be days when everything in you wants to quit, when you're tired, broken, rejected, or misunderstood. But being unstoppable means pushing through anyway. It means lacing up your shoes when no one is watching. It means doing one more rep, running one more mile, making one more call, because the mission is bigger than the mood. Fear is real, but courage is a decision. It's choosing to walk forward even when your knees are shaking. It's deciding that failure will not define you, that no matter how many times you fall, you will get back up. Not with shame, but with fire in your eyes and strength in your spirit. The unstoppable never fold. They adapt, they evolve, they rise. You won't always have applause, you won't always have support, but you'll always have yourself. And when you look in the mirror, let it be the reflection of someone who didn't quit, someone who dared to do what others wouldn't, someone who chose to embrace the hard, the lonely, the impossible, just to see what they were truly made of. The truth is, you were never meant to be ordinary. There's more inside you than you can see right now. More power, more resilience, more fire. All it takes is the decision to stop waiting and start becoming. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You need commitment. You need to be willing to suffer for your vision, to bleed for your dream, to go to war with your limitations, and win. So stand up. Take the first step, and then the next. Chase discomfort, seek challenge, make pain your ally and discipline your guide. Let nothing stop you, not failure, not fear, not fatigue, because you are not here to be good. You are here to be great. You are here to be relentless. You are here to be unstoppable. Being unstoppable is not about being the fastest, the strongest, or the smartest person in the room. It's about having a mindset that refuses to bend under pressure or shrink in the face of adversity. It's about making a decision deep within yourself that no matter what happens, you will keep moving forward. Talent can get you started, and luck might give you a few opportunities, but without a strong, unshakable mindset, you won't last when the storm comes. And the storm always comes. There are countless people with gifts who never reach their potential. They have the ability, the tools, even the resources, but they lack the internal drive. They wait for motivation to strike like lightning. They rely on good days to perform at their best, but the one who is unstoppable has already decided that action will not be based on emotion. They don't wake up asking how they feel. They wake up committed to what they promised themselves. That's the difference between those who break down and those who break through. Being unstoppable starts in the mind before it ever shows in the results. It's born in quiet moments when no one else is looking. When the alarm rings before sunrise and your body aches and your mind whispers all the reasons to sleep in, but you rise anyway. When you've failed again and again and the disappointment cuts deep, but you still take the next step. When you've been doubted, overlooked, and underestimated, but you keep showing up with the same fire in your soul. That's what it looks like to live from mindset, not emotion. No one can give this to you. It's not learned from a book, inherited through bloodline, or granted by some external authority. It's a fire that you choose to light within yourself and protect with your discipline. Every time you choose action over excuses, that fire grows. Every time you reject comfort and embrace challenge, you get sharper, stronger, and more grounded. And when everyone else starts falling off, you're just getting warmed up, because you didn't come to perform when it's easy. You came to dominate no matter what. The mind is the battleground. If you can conquer your thoughts, you can conquer your life. Weakness starts in the head before it shows in the body. The person who is truly unstoppable knows this. They train their thoughts the same way they train their muscles, with intention, intensity, and repetition. They replace doubt with focus, fear with grit, and hesitation with immediate action. They know how to talk to themselves in the darkness. They've practiced courage in private long before it was ever needed in public. What separates the good from the great is not circumstance, it's mindset. Two people can go through the same pain, the same setbacks, and the same obstacles. One will collapse, the other will rise. Why? Because one allowed their environment to shape them, while the other shaped their mind to rise above it. That's the level of control that being unstoppable demands. It's a deep, internal commitment to never allow excuses to outweigh execution. It's the decision to refuse to be defined by how you feel, and instead be defined by what you do, over and over, no matter the cost. Pain is not the enemy, it's a signal. It's the body's way of telling you that something is being pushed, stretched, or broken so that it can rebuild stronger. Most people run from pain. They avoid it, numb it, or complain about it. But the ones who become unstoppable, they understand pain for what it really is, a teacher. Pain doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to reveal you. It strips away the surface, the illusion, the comfort, and it shows you exactly who you are underneath. It shows you where you're weak, where you've settled, and where you need to grow. When you learn to stop fearing pain and start learning from it, everything changes. The workout that burns your muscles becomes the very thing that builds them. The rejection that stings becomes the spark that ignites your hunger. The failure that used to discourage you becomes the foundation of resilience. Pain becomes purpose, and suffering becomes sacred. Because every time you feel that sting, that burn, that ache, you know something inside you is evolving. You know you're being shaped, not punished but prepared. The mind will always try to protect you from discomfort. It will always look for the easy way out, but the unstoppable don't entertain those thoughts. They've trained themselves to interpret pain differently. While others complain, they breathe through it. While others slow down, they dig deeper. While others retreat, they advance. They welcome pain because they know that without it, there can be no real progress. They understand that comfort is a liar and growth is always uncomfortable. Every breakthrough is born out of pressure. There's a moment during any struggle, physical, emotional, or mental, when your brain tells you to stop. That moment is the fork in the road. Most people quit there. But the one who refuses to stop gains something priceless, a new level of grit. They enter into what most will never experience, a place where you discover that your limits were just illusions, that your body and mind can go far beyond what you once believed. That pain is just a wall, and beyond it is your potential. Pain builds humility, too. It reminds you that you're not invincible, and that's a good thing. It grounds you. It teaches you to respect the process, to honor the climb, to value every step. And most importantly, it teaches you empathy. When you've walked through pain, you recognize it in others. And when you've learned to overcome it, you become a guide, an example, not by your words, but by the strength in your eyes, the steadiness in your spirit, and the calm in your chaos. There's no shortcut through it. You can't hack pain. You can't fake your way through suffering. You have to face it. You have to feel it. And you have to be willing to bleed for what you believe in. Because nothing that comes easy is worth it, and nothing that's worth it will ever come easy. The greatest lessons are not found in comfort. They're found in resistance, in struggle, and in pain. That's where growth lives. That's where transformation happens. That's the price of being unstoppable. Motivation is fleeting. It comes in waves, rising high when things are exciting or new, then crashing low the moment things get hard, boring, or repetitive. That's why the unstoppable don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. Discipline is the engine that keeps running when motivation dies. It's the force that says, I will, even when every part of you is screaming, I don't want to. Discipline is the choice to show up daily, not just on the good days, but especially on the hard ones. It's the muscle that's built every time you act without needing to feel inspired. The world is full of people who start strong but can't finish. They post about their goals, they make big declarations, they ride the wave of motivation for a week, maybe a month. But the moment the process gets uncomfortable, they fade. Because they were counting on a feeling. But discipline doesn't care about feelings. Discipline is rooted in commitment. It's doing what you said you'd do long after the mood you said it in is gone. It's the cold morning runs, the late night work, the quiet sacrifices, the things no one claps for but that build something no one can take from you. There's nothing glamorous about discipline. It's not exciting, it's not emotional, it's repetitive. It's dull, but it's also the most powerful tool for becoming unstoppable because over time it stacks up. Small daily actions become habits. Habits become identity, and identity shapes your entire life. While others look for hacks or shortcuts, the disciplined stay the course. They trust the process. They know that excellence isn't created in a moment. It's forged in the fire of daily effort, compounded over years. Discipline is also what keeps you grounded when life throws chaos your way. Because motivation disappears in the storm, but discipline keeps you steady. It's your anchor. It tells you that no matter what's happening externally, you still have control over your actions. You still decide whether to move or stay still, to rise or retreat, to grow or shrink. And when you've trained yourself to choose growth every time, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not fatigue, not even fear. When discipline becomes your default, you don't wait for the right conditions to act. You create them. You don't wait to feel ready. You move while you're uncertain. You don't give power to excuses. You shut them down before they take root. That's the mindset that makes people unstoppable. They don't let their emotions dictate their effort. They let their mission drive their every move. They aren't focused on how they feel today. They are focused on who they want to be in 5 years. And what happens when discipline leads the way? Results. Real, lasting results. Not just external success, but inner strength, confidence, clarity, purpose. Because when you've proven to yourself that you can do the hard things day after day, your entire self-perception changes. You don't just think you're strong. You know you are, you've earned it, you've built it, you've become it. And that kind of power doesn't fade with time or circumstance. It only grows. It only multiplies. It becomes the foundation of a life that cannot be shaken. Discipline is not a punishment, it's a path. It's the key to unlocking every level of your potential, and once you've built your life on discipline, there's no going back. You don't need motivation. You've already become the kind of person who shows up, regardless. That's what makes you unstoppable. Fear is a natural part of life. It shows up when you step into the unknown, when you reach for something greater than what you've known, when you risk failing, being judged, or getting hurt. But fear itself isn't the problem. It's how you respond to it that defines everything. The unstoppable don't wait for fear to disappear before they move. They move through it. They feel it, acknowledge it, but don't obey it, because they've learned a critical truth. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to act despite it. Everyone feels fear. It whispers in your ear that you're not ready, that you might fail, that people will laugh or criticize. It tells you to stay where it's safe, where it's familiar, where you can stay in control. But nothing extraordinary lives in that zone. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Success doesn't come to the one who plays it safe. The unstoppable know this. That's why they have trained themselves to run toward fear, not from it. They see fear not as a wall, but as a doorway to the next level. Fear is actually a sign that you're on the edge of expansion. It shows up right before the breakthrough. It tries to protect you, but in doing so, it also limits you. That's why the unstoppable reframe it. They don't see fear as a stop sign. They see it as a green light, a signal that what they're about to do matters, that the challenge is real, that the reward is worth the risk. And so they press forward, even with shaky hands and uncertain steps. Courage isn't loud. It's not always bold or dramatic. Sometimes courage looks like speaking the truth when it's easier to be silent. Sometimes it's showing up one more time after countless failures. Sometimes it's starting something new with no guarantee of success. But every time you choose courage over fear, you gain something more powerful than approval or safety. You gain self-respect. And the more you respect yourself, the more fearless you become, because you're no longer waiting for the world to validate you. You've already proven to yourself that you can do hard things. The unstoppable don't wait until the fear is gone. They move anyway. They act with trembling hands. They push forward with racing hearts, because they've learned that action dissolves fear, that once you take the first step, the next one gets easier. That courage compounds, and with every brave move, the fear loses its grip. The same things that once paralyzed you start to feel like challenges you were born to conquer. Fear will always show up when you're doing something meaningful. That's not weakness. That's a signal that you're alive, awake, and reaching for something greater. But the difference lies in what you do with that fear. Do you let it drive, or do you take the wheel and tell it to sit in the back seat? The unstoppable take control. They let fear ride along if it must, but they never let it steer. There's power in choosing to act when you're afraid. That's where transformation begins. That's where confidence is built. Not from avoiding fear, but from overcoming it, again and again. You become stronger each time you walk through the fire instead of around it. You become bolder each time you refuse to shrink. And eventually, fear becomes something familiar, not because it's gone, but because it no longer controls you. You've made a decision again and again to rise in spite of it, and that decision is what makes you unstoppable. In a world that thrives on validation, likes, applause, and approval, it's easy to fall into the trap of needing someone to believe in you before you believe in yourself. But the truth is, not everyone will see your vision. Not everyone will support your journey. There will be seasons where the crowd is silent, where the phone doesn't ring, and where the people you expected to stand beside you quietly disappear. That's when the real test comes. That's when you find out what you're made of. Because being unstoppable means you keep going, even when no one is cheering you on. You have to learn to clap for yourself in empty rooms. You have to be your own fire, your own reason, your own belief system. The unstoppable aren't waiting for validation from others. They've already found it within. They've looked in the mirror and made a decision. I'm enough, I'm capable, and I'm going to see this through. That kind of internal belief is rare, but it's the foundation of resilience, because when life gets quiet and lonely, when the progress seems invisible and the struggle feels unending, self-belief is the only voice loud enough to push you forward. You don't become powerful by being liked. You don't grow by being comfortable. And you certainly don't become unstoppable by being dependent on the opinions of others. The most dangerous thing you can do is tie your worth to the crowd. Because crowds change, they get distracted, they get bored, they turn their attention elsewhere, but your purpose, that doesn't change, that calling inside you, that doesn't leave, and the moment you decide to live for that instead of for people's approval, you set yourself free. You won't always have people who understand what you're building. Some will criticize you simply because you make them uncomfortable, because your discipline exposes their excuses. Your ambition reminds them of everything they've quit on. But the unstoppable don't shrink to make others feel comfortable. They don't dim their light to avoid judgment. They stay focused on the mission, even when it's misunderstood, even when it's lonely, because they know who they are and they know why they started. Support is a gift, not a guarantee, and while it's beautiful to have people who believe in you, it's dangerous to depend on them, because what will you do when they walk away? What will you do when they stop answering? If your drive disappears with their approval, it was never real to begin with. The unstoppable have already answered that question. They will keep going, with or without applause, with or without backup. Because the fire in them didn't come from the outside. It was lit deep within, and no one else holds the match. There's something powerful about a person who keeps moving forward with no spotlight, no recognition, no praise. That's the person who is dangerous. That's the person who becomes a force, because they are not driven by performance. They are driven by purpose. And when you're driven by purpose, you don't stop until the mission is complete. You have to decide whether you want approval or results. You can chase likes or you can chase greatness, but rarely both. Greatness often requires seasons of isolation, moments where no one understands, where no one sees the hours, the tears, the sacrifice. But if you stay true to your path, if you keep showing up, keep putting in the work, eventually, the results will speak louder than the silence ever did. That's the mindset of the unstoppable. They're not here for attention. They're here for impact. You were not created to blend in, to settle, or to live a life of quiet regret. Deep inside you is something greater, something that refuses to be average. But greatness doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't show up just because you want it. It's unlocked when you realize that being ordinary is a choice, and so is being extraordinary. The unstoppable understand that their destiny isn't tied to how they start, but to how they finish. They don't wait for perfect timing or ideal conditions or someone to hand them a breakthrough. They become the breakthrough. They rise because they've made a decision. They will never quit. The truth is, there is more inside you than you've tapped into. More strength, more courage, more endurance, more potential. Most people never find it because they stop at the first sign of resistance. But the unstoppable go further. They dig deeper. They face the pain, the pressure, the doubt, and they keep moving. Not because it's easy, but because the vision is worth it. They know that everything they need to succeed is already within them, and their job is not to wait for it to appear, but to draw it out through discipline, focus, and relentless effort. Ordinary isn't your identity, it's your obstacle. It's what the world tries to mold you into. Stay quiet, stay safe, stay comfortable, but deep down you were never meant to stay there. You were made to rise, to lead, to set a new standard. And once you make that decision, once you say enough to mediocrity, something powerful shifts inside you. You stop blaming, you stop waiting, you stop doubting, you start building, you start owning, you start becoming. You become someone that adversity can't intimidate, someone failure can't define, someone the world can't ignore, because when the unstoppable enter the room, the atmosphere changes. Not because they talk louder, but because they carry the quiet confidence of someone who's fought battles no one knows about, and won. They've trained when others slept. They've endured when others quit. They've kept walking when the path vanished beneath them, and because of that, they carry a power that can't be shaken. So now the question is, will you choose that path? Will you walk the road that demands more from you, but also gives more to you? Will you step into the fire not to be burned, but to be refined? Because the life you dream of won't come from wishing. It will come from warring, from showing up every single day with the decision to keep going, to keep growing, and to never, ever back down. You don't need to wait another moment. You don't need more applause, more inspiration, more time. What you need is already in you, a fire, a decision, a standard. So set your feet, steady your breath, and move. Move with purpose, move with power, move with the unshakable conviction that nothing will stop you, not fear, not failure, not fatigue, not rejection. Because you are not here to live a life of hesitation. You are here to be bold, to be fierce, to be resilient. You are here to be unstoppable.